Listeners.
Book babes and book bros.
Welcome to Book Babble. I'm Rachel,
And I'm Tanya, and we're the Witlet Women, your hosts for the day.
and today we have a special guest star. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Dana Brentson. I write fantasy, mostly high fantasy with a little bit of romance, although my latest one was a little bit spicier. I have two books out in my first series, and then one that is kind of adjacent to the series, and a couple of little prequel novellas. My last book, The Gloom Sundered, came out in June.
Well, Dana, we're so excited to have you on and to babble with you. So, without further ado, are you ready to babble?
Yes, and hopefully no introductions for my children sequestered in the other room.
Same.
How that goes. All right, I will put 5 minutes on the clock and we'll get started.
So, my first question is always, what inspired you to write your stories?
A long time love of fantasy across all forms of media, books and video games and movies, TV shows, just anything I can get my hands on. I absolutely gobble it up. My first book, which is actually not on my shelf right now, was kind of a labor of love inspired by a lot of things like old video games and books and shows that I had seen. And it's kind of progressed from there into a never-ending story in my head. And then a few other supplemental things along the way, like the Gloom Sundered that just came out, was also kind of adjacent to the story, but telling different parts of the world's story.
So, I typically ask a lot of like more character and emotional related questions, so just be prepared. Um, out of all of the books you've written, is there a character that you most identify with or most connect with out of all of them?
Absolutely. My main female character, Isley, in The Gloom Sundered, she is a normal person with no special powers who hates running and is just kind of following her best friend along his heroic path, hoping that he'll notice her. So because she's in love with him. So she's kind of me. let's let's be honest. And I feel like I resonated most with her, and it was a lot of fun to tell her story as a magical world, a person in a magical world who has no powers, who has no special skills aside from just being the right person in the right place at the right time.
Well, I too hate running, so I get it.
It's the worst.
um, so fantasy takes a lot of concentration. I would think. I don't
Mhm.
know. I don't write it. I read it. It takes a lot for me to concentrate on it, although it's my favorite genre. What is your process for writing?
Oh, right now my process for writing is whenever I have the inspiration and 5 minutes to myself, which is not very often. I tend to plot very heavily. I get ideas and I make, big outlines and then I mostly stick to them. Sometimes it goes off the rails and things change. But a lot of my inspiration comes from just letting my mind wander as I think about different characters or listen to music that kind of has the same feel of whatever I'm trying to write.
So, I'm very intrigued by all of your book titles. I love them. Where do you, how do you find like the inspiration behind creating those? Like, where do those come from?
A lot of it's a play on words. For my first two books, Her Latent Charm and The Provenance of Power, it's kind of, the hidden power within somebody. And then the next one is kind of where did that power come from? The Gloom Sundered kind of focused a little bit more on the world and how these magical chaotic storms kind of separate people and divide people. And honestly, my daughter also helped me pick it out and decide whether we had a the or just Gloom Sundered. So that was kind of a fun process.
Oh, that's cute. I love that. It's a
I love
family.
incorporating them. Yeah. Um, so what's the best writing advice you've ever received?
Ooh, I think the best writing advice that I've ever received is probably don't compare yourself to other people's journey, which I will also say that is one of the things that I do a lot. And I feel like it's one of those things that you also cannot get away from. So you kind of just have to take a breath and decide, okay, this is not necessarily my journey, but I'm doing my own, and that's also fine.
All right, so probably one of the last questions that we can ask in our 5 minutes. Um, as a fantasy girly, what is your favorite fantasy book of all time?
Oh my gosh, that's so hard. Outlander stands out. Also the Deadly Education series by Naomi Novik was just wall to wall amazing. I've a couple of my favorites lately have been from some of my indie author friends. Lindsay Brownstein wrote really good five, oh my gosh, Fire's Hands Fate. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot I anyway, Lindsay Brownstein writes amazing fantasy, and so does KV Meadows. Those are some of my favorite people.
Oh, we love Indie Rex. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right, so we have 5 seconds left. Probably not going to get another question in, so we'll just run out the timer.
Okay.
You made it through our 5 minute AMA round. Yay! So we will put the 5 minutes on our social channels, and then the full episode's going to go on YouTube and Spotify. But we're just going
Okay.
to keep chit-chatting, having some fun. Um, Rachel, I will open the floor to you.
Sure. With my mind just stops, and I have the question right here.
Okay, so we're on the same page right now because my mind just totally blanked too.
Same.
so, so, is there a favorite fantasy trope that you like to write? Or like I know that I read a lot of like Chosen One or Secret Identities. Is there one that you
Mhm.
particularly like to write about?
I am a big fan of The Chosen One. I know it's been done in so many things. That's one of the things my main series is. My female main character, Lila, is kind of a Chosen One thing with, I mean, like a little bit of a twist, which will reveal itself as the series goes on. Um, I also love like enemies to lovers, but also friends to lovers is way better in my book. Because there's something about having that foundation that makes it more satisfying to me, at least.
That makes sense. I can tell. Oh, I forgot to stop the timer. I just realized it was still going and it was like -1 minute. Um, so so we talked a little bit about indie authors and I wanted to ask like how you decided to go the indie route versus traditional and like what your experience has been as an indie author so far.
I actually tried to submit to a lot of agents when I first started. And this was like 10 plus years ago when my stuff was not as good as it could have been. I didn't have a professional editor. I didn't go through it with a fine-tooth comb. I didn't know a lot about writing. So I think that probably influenced my lack of success in that arena. But I also realized as time went on, like a lot of the onus for, marketing and everything is still on the author, kind of no matter what route you take. You definitely get more help if you're going traditional. But it's also very difficult. And I feel like a lot of it is not necessarily based on the industry, although it is, but a lot of it is if you're trying to get an agent, what is their mood that day? Do they feel like your story fits what they feel that day that they read it? So it's very subjective. So I found that being able to put my book out myself, having the final say on what is in it and how it is marketed and what the cover looks like appealed to me a lot better. And it's very costly, but I have had a lot more peace of mind, I feel like, knowing that it's still my work instead of whatever somebody else thinks it should be.
Yeah, you have a lot more freedom and control as an
Mm-hmm.
indie author from what I've learned through this podcast and through like my PR company. So I love that aspect of it. And if I ever decided to write, I would probably do indie as well.
Yeah.
Um, what what have you made connections? Like how did you grow from what you were at 10 years ago to now? Like what did you do to get to where you're at, even now still indie publishing, but you mentioned it was like you weren't as what did you say? Sorry, you didn't know as much about writing before. So
Mm-hmm.
like did you do workshops? What kind of stuff helped you get to where you're at now?
A lot of help from people, like author swaps and other author friends taking a look at things. That has been a really big help. And then also working with my amazing editor, Woody at Coppercoin Editing. He has a very good eye for a follow through for your plot. So like where I start to like lose the thread and go off on little tangents that have nothing to do with the story and like the plot just kind of peters out. He's very good at keeping me on track. So that has been great. And also just reading widely in the genre, kind of seeing how other people write and, things that you like about that, things that you don't necessarily like about that, things that resonate with your style. Um, and honestly, just doing it over and over and over again. I didn't do any workshops. I probably would benefit from those, but that's not something I've been able to do with three small children and work and life. So
That's a lot.
yeah, it's a lot, and I feel tired a lot. But honestly, a lot of my author friends have really helped a lot. So, like when you're doing beta reads and you're swapping manuscripts, and kind of going over that with other people that also write, especially in your genre, has been the biggest help.
Have you found that more indie authors are willing to do author swaps? I haven't really talked to anyone who's done a lot of
Mhm.
them, so I'm curious.
Yeah, I've been pretty fortunate in finding certain people, and it's mostly just kind of making connections on social media and seeing what else is out there, and then, maybe picking up a book and then just saying, "Oh my gosh, I loved this. This is exactly what I like to read, and I really enjoyed your work." And then just kind of striking up a conversation like that.
Hmm.
And that has led to, beta reading for other people, and then they beta read for me, or, like read advanced copies and that kind of thing. So yeah, a lot of indie authors are willing to do that, especially because it helps them too. If you find some people that you mesh with, it seems to be really beneficial. And a lot of the people that I've met are so amazing.
Yeah, I have my own PR company where we do a lot of ARC reading, but
Hmm.
that's like authors to readers, not author swaps specifically.
Yeah.
So, it's just like it's a whole new world seeing it from the author's perspective, and I love learning about it,
Hmm.
especially selfishly because of the company that I run. So I
Yeah.
get little like it's just like a shameless plug there. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are just about out of time, so I wanted to open the floor to you, Dana, and see if there's anything that you wanted to talk about, anything you wanted to let your readers know, that kind of stuff.
I think just I've got a couple of books out. I'm trying to work on a couple of different projects. I keep getting pulled in different directions, like another standalone and the third book in my series. So I am working on things behind the scenes as much as time and life allows. And hopefully I'll be able to get some more books out soon. So keep an eye out.
We are excited for the next one and can't wait. But Dana, thank you so much for coming on today, and hopefully we'll see you again in the future.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.